Welcome back to the Sick Boys podcast. I'm your host, JD Denham. Across the way on the big screen right there, looking dapper and beard is just flowing and looks amazing. It looks just so full. Justin Wenzel, my buddy. What's going on, dude?
Dude, what's happening? We missed a week.
I saw a post from you yesterday. I don't know when you filmed it, but your beard wasn't as combed and put together as normal, but still kept. But I was like, damn, dude, it has gotten burly, bro.
Oh,
I was like, dude, it's long.
I cut it down yesterday just a little bit on the sides because it was like starting to like curl up, like when you used to grow your hair long and you put a hat on, like curl up. It was starting to curl up like that. So I was like, oh, we gotta take it down a little
that
bit.
Was that was it, because your hair, it was like, wow, I was like, that is beastly. It looked like a mane.
Yeah. but I did. We're still. I kept all the length.
I did a podcast with Jeremy. When did he come in? Was it last week? Yeah, so last week, and it was good to see him. His beard was just, he put it together, so his isn't always kept up, so that thing was just, dude, so long, dude. I was like, dude, that is just a beast of a beard, bro.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It's funny, dude. I've known Jeremy for so long, dude. I think he was 16, and I was somewhere around 18, 19, and it was just a good conversation, man. I love that guy. Now you start telling people I've known people 35 plus years. That's scary.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, bro. We were 18 and just living the punk rock life yesterday. And then all of a sudden it's like, dude, what happened?
You guys used to party together?
Yeah, I met Jeremy when he was still on the show. And one of my best friends, who was in the Death on Wednesday, singer of Death on Wednesday, was friends with Jeremy. They'd surf. And so I met him through him, and he would drive him. Jeremy's mom would pay my buddy to drive him down to Malibu and film the show. So we met Jeremy when he was about 16. He was a normal kid, dude. He was super famous, but it's a normal kid to us, bro. He's a cool dude. He surfed, and just a typical kid. I think he did his first line at my house, unfortunately. Not necessarily proud of that, but I created a monster. Dude, he he came on and he has this thing called this warrior gene. I don't know if you saw that clip, but it was dope, man. We had talked about it on the first time we did a podcast, and I wanted to touch on it again because I was so intrigued. I call it the black sheep gene. He calls it the warrior gene, which is better. And he just talks about like 10% of society, the world, has this warrior gene where, they can't contain it. We've talked about it, but you can't contain it. And so people like us are just like pour alcohol on it, just trying to just downgrade it from it, just driving us freaking crazy. It comes out in anxiety. It comes out in or being over analytical, whatever. It manifests in all different ways for guys like us. But when you can contain it and put it into good use, dude, you have this drive to succeed that just can change the family stone. And he said the way that he articulated it was dope. He said, the reason that this gene exists is so that man will still create, meaning if, everything like 90% gets wiped out, there's 10% that run towards the fire and like, bring it, dude. They're like, I'm going to freaking live, bro. I'll fight these, these demons because I'm living. And it was pretty dope, dude. It was a dope scene. I posted it the other day. Good shit, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's cool when you know people for that long. It's funny, before we got on this show, we were talking a little bit, and I was telling you kind of like, I've had some hard conversations recently with some old drinking buddies and drugging buddies, and they're going through it, right? One in particular that I really had a heart for. I'd hired him into my auto group years back, and he had a hard time, and he just he was very all over the place, always high, always whatever, but he was a good worker, good salesman.
Yeah.
But anyways, had a really hard conversation with him a number of days ago, and he's been sober for like 90 days, but like still losing everything, still miserable. He posts and he just seems like he's just miserable. And
Yeah.
I gave him a little food for thought. I was like, well, why don't I go, dude? Like, I'm not trying to like promote Alcoholics Anonymous or anything, but why don't you go to a meeting? And he's like, hey, I done that. I got the certificate. I was like, the certificate? He's like, I've been to the classes. I've done all of that. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you talking about classes? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Like DUI classes? Like, we're not talking about the same thing, bro. And
Right.
and he's like, oh no, I haven't. I worked 12 steps and did all this stuff. I was like, okay, bro. I was like, all right, cool. Well, whatever, man. You don't have to. For some reason it seems to work for me and all my friends, and we're all thriving right now. What's
I've
the
never
deal?
seen anybody do it otherwise, dude. Now, I've seen people drop it like later on and still do okay, but I don't know of anybody that I know that truly had a problem. It was an actual problem that has not done it without Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't think I can
Yeah.
name one person.
Well, yeah, maybe they've strung together some days, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know anybody
Not
that's
in
like
like any type of longevity.
I get on calls with sobriety dudes every day, right? Like it's like every single day of my life for the last 5 years.
Yep.
Okay. And here's what I will tell you: there is a huge common denominator. Huge common denominator. The guys that come on and they're like thriving in their career, the guys that pay me in full, the guys that are like that
Yeah,
their
right.
families are all together. Like seriously, those guys are always 100% of the time friends of Bill.
Yeah.
100% of the time, the guys who can pay in full, the guys who are
Yeah,
like,
because
yeah,
they don't
what,
wanna
like,
have
yeah.
debt on their hands, dude.
Well, but it's that and the fact that they have the money. They're actually
That's
thriving.
what I mean. That's perfectly said because when you take
Hmm.
that and instead of pouring alcohol on it or pouring on it or eating on it, whatever the hell it is, and you take it and you contain it and you let it into the right places, dude, I mean, you become so freaking successful because you have a drive that drives you. You have the ability to take these giant risks, which success takes, right? It's a huge risk for all of us.
Hmm.
You're just though that's they can literally change the world, that
So
10%.
so get this though. On the other hand, the guys that come on calls and their lives are like not desirable. They can't afford anything. They're always the dudes are. This is always what they say. Yeah, yeah, AA didn't work for me.
Yep. Well, that's what the first thing I was thinking when you said that.
Yep.
Close-minded
Yep.
equals not succeeding.
Yep. Dude, it is staggering. It is
Right.
staggering how like if I were to just go into all my sobriety calls, the paid in fulls versus uh the either can't afford it, move on, or the people that I had to like work something out for and stuff like that. It would be so drastic. You would be like, whoa, what's the deal? So and it has nothing to do with money, but what it has to do with is the thriving in recovery, right? It has to do with the letting the system work, letting the process work, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately letting go of control and putting everything into God. Okay, because so here's the thing. I've watched two really interesting talks about this. The first one was it's funny how AA meetings are a lot often done in the basement of churches, right? Like they're often done in the basement of churches. That's like historically like where they would have them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how the biggest transformations happen in the basement of the church, not in the sanctuary, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
and what this pastor was talking about is he said that he goes if Christians came to God the same way that alcoholics come to God, if Christians were just more like alcoholics when you come to God broken, vulnerable,
Yeah.
nothing left to give, whatever, like
What do you want me to
maybe
do?
just maybe
I'll do
you would
that.
see it right. Maybe just maybe they would see his gifts. And then secondly, what I heard this really interesting fact, and I shared it today in this reel that I just did, that Bill W. wasn't even the person who came up with the whole idea of the spiritual awakening in AA. It was passed down to him from like word of mouth all the way from a rich kid. Okay. So there was a rich kid who was doing drugs and alcohol. He lived in like the Hamptons, or like somewhere on the East Coast, ritzy, like real ritzy area.
Mhm.
And his parents sent him out to Europe to a treatment center, and at this treatment center he met Carl Jung, and Carl Jung said to him, "You will not get sober without a spiritual awakening. You will and he had nothing to do with AA. This is
Yeah.
way before AA was ever a thing. And he said, you will never get sober without God in your life, and without letting go of control in your ego, and trusting God, and some sort of spiritual awakening." And this applies to everything in life, not just sobriety. But I want to touch on
Absolutely.
this
100%.
because this is such an important part of why I believe you and I have all of these success. And quite frankly, the people that are watching this, right, are people that have a desire to build their own businesses, thrive in their families, thrive in their
A lot of
careers.
them are
They,
sober.
and a lot of them are sober or newly sober,
Yep.
and so and finding personal development and finding the life that you and I chose to live over the past several years, so on and so forth. So he that kid came back to the States and told his buddy how he got sober was he found God, and a spiritual awakening. And that guy told another guy, who told another guy, who informed Bill W. when Bill W. was working. I think he was working like Wall Street or something, that's the actual key to getting sober.
Yeah.
And that turned into what AA wrapped its
Well,
thing
if you
around.
don't if you don't believe that God had his hand in AA, you can call it, I mean, I have no problem at first, you call it higher power, whatever you want to call it. I don't even care what you call it. But God is all over the AA book. That's why
Hmm.
God and He is capitalized, whether you like it or not. There's no argument about it. That everything chronologically fell in line, which was God's hand, simply because Bill W. wanted to make money on it. He was a businessman,
Hmm.
and he had people luckily around him that said, "No, man, it ain't going to work that way," because it wouldn't work that way. It has to be free, right? Like Darko, my sponsor, the man that literally changed my life, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time he spent with me, just teaching me how to be a man again. I mean, man again. I don't even know if I ever was a man in the first place, but teaching me how to be a man, but not a man, not just a man of integrity, a man of character, and a man that when nobody's watching, you still have integrity. And
Hmm.
that's the people that keep sobriety, in my experience, because the people that start cutting corners, telling little lies, you eventually get clipped, man. Like I've said it before, but you're on a boat wake, and those little lies are taking you so far away from your true, like sobriety and your integrity and your character, and you're out here, and then all of a sudden, like you're driving down the street, and I'm just gonna get a bottle of liquor one time. I've been doing so good, and you don't even think about the fact that you shouldn't do it because God took His hand off it.
Hmm.
You no longer get God's grace, dude. It's you took your will
Yeah.
back, bro. You have
So
been clipped.
then that's just it. So to me, there was this idea, and I think we can probably share our own personal experiences in this for listeners to understand that, for us, right? We have control over a lot, right? Businesses that are very successful, right? We're the head of our households, the providers, which, by the way, I'm on this whole kick. Being a financial provider in your household as a man is the bare minimum. Like, guys need to understand we talked about that yesterday in the Legacy Align podcast.
Love it.
Bare minimum, but still, we are the head of our households, the bread earners, full bread earner. We are, leaders in our communities and stuff like that. And obviously we've developed the lifestyle, personal development, fitness, nutrition, all that good stuff, right? But I will tell you this, that I do not keep control over any of it. I am told what to do. And it's not just God, it's mentors, it's influences, it's people that are above me, that know
Yeah,
more than me.
right.
And I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody, because there's always people are always going to argue extremes. But I don't know anybody that isn't some sort of savant or hasn't always had it together, right? Because most people that are listening to this aren't guys that are like, oh, I've always been successful. I never had a drinking problem and I've never, whatever. Most guys that are listening to this are like, how do I, are figuring it out still, right?
Right.
I don't know anybody that's been in a long period of figuring it out, which I would imagine is most of our listeners, which was us, a long period of us trying to figure it out, that ended up figuring it out ourselves. Do you know anybody?
No, I don't think that's how it
One
works.
person?
I don't think that's how it's worked. That's why you need a sponsor. You need a sponsor because like my experience with sobriety was like how the hell like I looking at this Mount Everest of sobriety, like how the hell am I gonna climb that thing, dude? There's no freaking way, dude. I'm not strong enough for that, right? And then I have a sponsor that already climbed it, and he's like, dude, you don't have to. Just do what I did. Here's the rope. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
if you don't have that, then you do have to figure out how to get up the hill. And that's what, I think when you're doing a program properly, whatever your program is, like I said, even if like you stray from Alcoholics Anonymous or not, that's on each person, dude. That's their sobriety. I don't judge. I don't care. But if you just simply follow the steps of the 12 steps, but the steps meaning, getting a sponsor and it's pure and you truly want to be sober, I believe God brings you the sponsor. He sure as hell did for me. And you don't have, like they say, take the suggestions, but they're not suggestions. You should take them as bond because he's going to teach you all kinds of shit. Oh my God. Like all the lessons Darko taught me, I'm still using them to this day. To this
Hmm.
day, I regurgitate them all the time. You want to be successful, do what successful people do. That's Darko. Right? They're not mine. I wish I could claim that, but it's passed on to me. So I try to pass it on to other people. Liberation, letting go. Like when most humans aren't going to change unless they're beat to shit to the degree where they're ready to change. It's just humans. I've seen a couple. I want a good friend of mine. He, very successful guy. He runs fleet over at Ford. Extremely successful, kills it, and super just dude. He was an alcoholic, and he before he lost everything, he didn't lose everything. He got it fixed before that. He's one of the few people. Me, I lost literally everything. I was so beat down by drugs and alcohol that I was like, dude, okay, 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 okay. I'll do anything that you say to do, just stop. And then I was like willing to do whatever the sponsor said. Because if I wasn't that stage, I needed to go out there and take more pain before I was ready to go, okay, okay, okay. I will do whatever you say. And that to me is the somebody that has the keys to about open the sobriety bank. Meaning, if I hear somebody say, "I'll do whatever I have to do," okay, just tell me what to do. I'll do that. Those are the verbiage that I have seen that men are on the right course. Your buddy, he was like, "Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, and yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous. That's a bunch of just hooba juboo, blah blah blah. I've done it. Yeah, whatever. That's obviously you don't know what you're talking about. So stop. Two, like that's closed mindedness is going to yield to nothing.
Hmm.
Like open-mindedness, like and what like a sign of intelligence is people that can admit they don't know everything.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Ch-
It's
Uh,
like
what
like
you
people like you see certain people like my peptide podcast is obviously well, we're blessed. And I think one of the reasons that it's successful and continuing to skyrocket is one, everybody's looking for peptides. That's obvious. Two, we don't act like we know everything, dude. And we've said, you know what? When we first started the podcast, we like looked at test around like this. It's actually we've learned since that. That to me is intelligence, man. I don't act like I know everything, and I don't want to
Mhm.
ever do business with somebody that acts like he knows everything because you don't. Nobody does. I hate
Mhm.
that type of personality. You know what
Something you said earlier, rings, really true, and also to my story and to what most people's stories are. And this is not even just an addiction. Pain or change occurs when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change.
Period.
And that applies to everything. So like you have guys that hate their jobs, that hate their careers. They're miserable and they have a vision for themselves of doing something more. But once again, they're control, it's all control, ego, right? I'll figure it out. Or then they start procrastinating because it's not quite the right time yet, but I have
Yeah,
this vision. But
right.
they're now they're trying to control time.
Yeah.
And it's like you're trying to control time while also trying to control figuring it out. Meanwhile, you're probably also trying to control your career. Dog, you're white knuckling life. And it's not going to work. So the term white knuckle comes from somebody who's gripping something so hard that their knuckles turn white. Eventually your grip breaks. And that when that happens, you realize and you have a very rude awakening that white knuckling life, it doesn't work. It doesn't.
Even if you're
And
doing okay with sobriety, I've seen people white knuckle for literally years, but they're freaking miserable. Why?
miserable.
Because you're not giving back to the world. You're not helping other people. We think we're supposed to be sober and that's the objective. Like, that's rad. At first, it is. But that's not the objective. The objective is to fix yourself and, where's the gold mine? Help other people fix themselves. That's the gold
So
mine. That yields peace. That yields a bigger bank account. Because why? Because you're helping other people. So God says, let me bless you.
right.
It's very easy.
The problem is that people are stuck on the fact that alcohol was the problem or
For sure.
drugs was the problem. It's not the problem.
Right.
The drugs and alcohol are never the problem. They're the
Right.
solution to the problem.
Sure.
And so when people are talking about, like, there's a big difference between sobriety and being recovered or recovery,
Hell yeah.
right? There's a bit, some people will say that they're recovered. I still say that I'm an addict, but I do say that I'm recovered,
Yeah.
right? I don't say I'm in recovery any longer. But I do say that I'm an addict because I'm always going to be an addict. That's just
Right.
who I am. But there's a big difference between sobriety and being recovered or in recovery, and not to mention there's a huge difference between sobriety and thriving. And so sobriety is the absence of the solution to the
Right.
problem. So
Yeah. Right.
when you have just sobriety, all you have is the absence to a solution that you used to have for a problem that still exists.
Yeah.
That doesn't work long term. It doesn't matter if you don't pick up a drugs or alcohol again. You still have that problem, and you're still going to try to search for a solution for that problem. When at the end of the day, that solution is very simple. It's very and the problem is not the problem, but the facts are that as long as that problem exists, you will never see where your life can possibly go.
And dude, if you do, oh my God. Like, could you, like, the promises are so unreal real. My sponsor said to me in the beginning, he was from Croatia, but he sounded Russian. They're similar languages apparently. But he said, JD, the thing is, if you do these steps, you listen to my suggestions, your life will become so amazing, you won't even be able to wrap your brain around it right now. And I just was like, dude, cool, man. Like, I just need to get my license. Like, I was so small minded. Like, just give me my license. I had 2 DUIs. I had to go to, like, I don't know, 2 years of like alcohol court and all that stupid shit. But that's what it was going to take. And I was so close minded to like what was even close to available. We've talked about this, but I think when I had Mark on, we discussed just a lot of the stuff you and I have discussed about mentors and men and leading them in different directions. But when I got around him, first and foremost, you fix yourself and you think it's alcohol, right? And then for me, it wasn't even the deep healing came after like year one. Now I'm like dealing with my womanizing. I'm dealing like why I can't ever be alone, but not ever let anybody close. That's the
Mm,
healing. It's not alcohol. That's just the shit I
right,
poured on top to not feel like shit. This is the stuff after now I conquered alcohol. Then I got to the jugular of like why I had these problems. Then I got to
right,
the problem of fixing me, right? It wasn't alcohol. The problem was me, you know, wherever you
right.
go, there you are, you know, and like, so I did this healing, but then after I started and I truly did this self-healing, this elephant of just like life that was on top of me my whole life. I never felt contentment. I never felt peace of mind. I never felt bliss ever. I didn't even know had clue that stuff existed until I fixed myself. But then you start climbing this, these stairs of success, and your mind keeps opening to like what truly is there. When I got with Mark, guys that like we talk about all the time, that dude, think so freaking big that when you're here, you can't even imagine you being that big. You can't even
Right.
imagine you having these bank accounts. That'll never be me, right? Small, closed-minded, but as you grow and as you get around other people that you see this stuff, it lights a fire in you and you go, "I could do all that shit, and I'm going
Yeah.
to do all that shit." Dude, that's the letting go and just like just if you just let go and trust God and you do what's the right thing, you're not a dick, you treat people with respect, you pass these things on, you treat your bride with respect, you don't cheat on her, right? You just be a decent human, right? And
Hmm.
you live like that when nobody's looking and you truly live like that, God is going to bless your life beyond measure because he's watching every one of us, dude. He's watching every
Right.
one of us. Everybody cuts corners, though. It's rare when somebody's has true integrity. Now, nobody's perfect. That's what I'm talking about. But if you live with with respect and you know what I mean, truly trying to be a decent human and help other people, dude, your life will become so freaking rad. I mean, we're both living examples, dude. I never saw myself anywhere near where I'm at, and I'm not even
No.
close to being done.
Yeah.
You know what I
Never.
mean?
No.
But that's also like letting go and trusting God, which feels so foreign to guys like us. There's a time I didn't even believe in God, dude.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't believe any of that. No way. And then I believed on that side of the street, which is very dark and demonic. It literally like it with speed and stuff, I felt a demonic presence. It's dark, dude. And then I felt what it's like to truly live a life trying to honor God. I lived in both. So I could tell you with both experience on both. And, I don't know if you saw what I posted yesterday, but we have these moments when we just organically, purely come from the heart. And it was one of those moments for me. It's usually in the morning. I just feel kind of pure and like, I'm in touch with God because I haven't looked at my phone in an hour, blah, blah, blah. And, but I had this moment to where like I was breaking down like all the things that had happened in this chronological order. And when I hung up my mortgage career, opened this door to this social media world, not necessarily knowing where it was going. And then the channel just took off like just like a rocket. And I was super blessed, but I was working like 16-hour days, 7 days a week, but still blessed, trying to think like, why is this even happening? Which I finally cut up to the truth. When you catch your purpose, your truth, when you truly let go, you truly let go. And then God goes, here's your purpose, which for me,
Mm.
I believe is my true passion, which is to get men to stand back up and be men, but more importantly, godly men. I believe that's my purpose. Like the bank accounts, the tangible shit, that's great. Dude, like there's a purpose behind it. And when you're living in your purpose, bro, it's just the best feeling ever. It's so
Nice.
rad. Amazing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it all
Yeah.
led to it all
Well,
led to
I'll tell the truth. Or not the truth, but like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the truth. But um, l- let me kind of give an example like personally, and just for anybody. And this is something that. So here's the deal. I grew up in the church. I was a worship leader. I was in Christian punk bands my entire life. Very, very indoctrined, charismatic Christian church.
yeah,
Very large church too, several thousand members. The pastor's kid was my best friend, still one of my best friends to this day. We went to college together, everything. I used to go to all the Hillsong events and all, literally, like I grew up very involved in the Christian church.
yeah.
And I ran, and in college, I ran away from it. Straight atheist, started reading Dawkins, and got really into like, evolution and science and all of that stuff. And really indoctrinated myself into that to where like I knew there was no God. Okay. I knew there was no God, and I lived the vast majority of my adult life with like that knowledge of like there's no God. Like I grew up in it. It wasn't for me, but at this point, like I watch Bill Maher. I'm an atheist,
All right.
and that was what my truth was, and I and
Yeah,
I did and I did
right,
believe that for the longest
right,
time.
right.
And my heart got hard. My heart got fucking hard,
Yeah.
like, and to where like I knew, like I understand evolution, like still, like to this day, right? Like I understand evolution, like I know how the earth really came about, like, right? Like I've read Neil deGrasse Tyson, like I know this shit, right? Um, and then but meanwhile, I also had read all of C.S. Lewis, and I also had known like and I read a lot of John Piper and Brian McLaren and tons of Christian theologists, and that was still my favorite stuff to read, even though I was like very like now I'm like indoctrined atheist. I still like loved C.S. Lewis. I still loved like some of these authors you may have never heard of, but very not orthodox, but like very like big thinking theology writers. The reason I said orthodox is Brian McLaren had a book called A Generous Orthodoxy, that I loved. But anyways, then I got sober, and when I first got sober, listen to this. AA talked about a God of your understanding, and I walked into AA and I was like, guys, I'll work AA, because I was ready for anything. Like I was desperate. I did have the gift of desperation. I had that. But I had said to a couple people that weren't sponsors, but had time. I was like, listen, I have a hard time with the God thing. Like I don't know. And they were like, well, there is like the chapter on the agnostic, and like there is a way to understand God of your understanding. And I tried to retrofit God of your understanding. Okay. I haven't shared this with anybody, just so you know. Okay, I've shared it obviously with my wife, but
Yeah.
I have not shared this with like in public with anybody. So I for my first probably 6 months of Alcoholics Anonymous, I spent like trying to retrofit Alcoholics Anonymous around my atheistic belief. And and then
Really
and then
common.
I yeah, no, very common. And there were other guys in there too that would kind of rolled their eyes when guys would talk about God and stuff like that, and it was whatever. My heart was so hard, and I did really well. I did incredibly well with my sobriety. I built businesses out of my sobriety. I built a really nice life through sobriety. And then I was at the very top of like wherever I saw my life gonna be. And I introduced God back into my life randomly. And let me tell you why. Most people get the gift of desperation when they are at their lowest. And C.S. Lewis has talked about this in the past as well. And I always had this hard time. This is something that they call it church hurt, right? That how people would only, and on top of that, I had a dad who was a business owner and stuff like that. And I always had like people would call my dad when things were going wrong. And then as I grew up and started to become successful and had some money, people would only call me when things were going wrong. They wouldn't call me when things were going good.
Right.
They wouldn't whatever. And in my head, and this part of me was like, and even though we're supposed to come to God broken, and now I look back at it and I just realize how much fucking time I wasted. Okay. Um, but I had this like part of me that was like, I don't want to come to God just when things are wrong. So I came to God with nothing but gratitude. I came to God in a completely different frame of mind than what I think a lot of my peers and other people have, where they come to Him broken, which you're supposed to. And now I look at it that I wasted so much time. But one day I remember I was sitting on the cold plunge in that little gym on Main Street in Huntington,
No way.
and I just opened up and I was like, God, I need you right now. It made me fucking cry. And I think I was about to ask for a divorce. And I was and like there was nothing wrong with my life. Like my relationship wasn't on the rocks. I just wasn't happy in it, and it wasn't going to go anywhere. And I felt like I was doing her a disservice, and so that doesn't matter. But it wasn't a weakness point that I came to Him. It was a point that I just said I was grateful. I was grateful because I felt like I was. relieved of some codependency issues. I felt that I was letting go of some old childhood trauma. Not childhood trauma, but just like inner child issues.
Yeah.
I was grateful because I was achieving things financially. I was achieving things physically that were insane. If you remember back then, like I had gone through like the next level of my body transformation. There was so much and so many good things happening to me, and there was old weight getting shut off of me, friendships that I was dissolving that weren't serving me anymore, or that were dragging me back or holding me down. There was so much good happening that I sat there in that cold plunge and I just said, God, I need you. And I opened my life right up to him.
Yeah.
And I
Track.
and I re and I recommitted myself to him. And then what happened? I met Christina.
Yeah. Tends to happen that way.
And she's obviously a very, very godly woman. And what happened? We fall in love. And we have this like relationship that is like the most strong thing ever we've built. We've already built like a crazy great business with it. We've done so, and that doesn't even matter. My son is coming here now, like to stay with us. He
Oh,
loves
wow.
it
You didn't tell
here.
me that.
Yeah, I haven't told anybody this. Okay. Um, there's so much happening for me right now, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, everything in my relationship, everything, everything. Our page is blowing up, like our content is impacting so many lives. It's insane. You should see our DMs. It's nuts. Our podcast is about to launch. And there's those are the little things. There's so much going on. Every single Sunday, we're at church. Every single Sunday. And by the way, there's a campus, the same church, same sermon, same everything. It's done all satellite. There's a campus a block and a half down the road, and it's beautiful. We make it a point to go to the actual campus, and guess what? That one's also on screen and everything too. It's the same thing, but we make it a point to get up earlier,
Yeah.
drive a half hour into Peoria to go to the campus that I've made some friends with that go to the gym that I go to,
Yeah.
and like to be injected in that community there and start to get involved, right? Become
Right.
members. Kids got baptized there. All this stuff started happening. We have been so like I am fully back in like and it's insane, dude. I didn't even truly believe that Jesus was a person. Like at one point, like I was convinced after reading all this stuff that like I don't even know really if there was a guy that was whatever. And I am so on board, like so recommitted to my walk with Christ. So like it's insane how I've just watched him work in me when I came to him wide open. You have control. I have made, and this is on another topic, but just so we're clear of like since I did this, okay, my businesses are up like hundreds of percent, hundreds of percent. I have more time. I have more peace. I have more freedom. I have more connection with my friends, my family, my father. Like, and my dad and I are best friends, but like more like we are talking on the same exact wavelength right now. Like every single piece of my life has come together significantly when I just dropped my guard, when I just let go of control and said, God, take
Totally.
it. Like this is all
Yeah.
you.
I get it.
And I have yet to try to grip the wheel again.
Yeah.
I have yet to. I'm afraid to try to like let my ego go. No, I got this. I don't got this,
Yeah.
and neither does anybody listening to this. None
Yeah.
of you fucking people have this. We don't got this. And I can tell you, when I got this, I made millions upon millions of dollars. I built awesome businesses, a massive personal brand. I did everything, and I had nothing. I had nothing compared to what I have now when I let go of control.
Well, what
Period.
what is that stuff worth, dude, if you don't have peace or contentment?
I don't
So,
know.
like
I don't know.
for
I thought
example,
it meant a lot, but it doesn't mean dick.
well, yeah, I mean, it's great, but like you hear wealthy people say they're miserable all the time. There's wealthy people that blow their heads off all the time. How would that guy do that? It's not about money. Money's great. Obviously, everybody wants it. There's a reason that we want it. It eliminates stress, but if you're not living right and you're like a dick and you're just cheating on things and you're cutting corners and stuff, that yields such discontentment, even if you don't realize it subconsciously, because you're not a good human, right? A man
Mm,
that like cheats on his wife, it doesn't matter if nobody else knows, bro. It does not matter. You know, and God knows. Therefore, it yields discontentment, and you'll never have peace of mind or contentment. So again, if you're extremely wealthy, that's rad. If you cheat on your wife and you're miserable, how much does that wealth mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? So it's if you're able to enjoy those things, that's awesome because and I say how you had explained that what I was thinking as you were talking was you don't I always say it to people in sponsees and stuff. You don't have to find a relationship with God. He'll connect with you when he knows you're ready, you're open-minded to it, which for you was then. For me,
yeah.
it was in the beginning of my sobriety because that lady came up to me and, did that whole thing, so there was no way I could debate that. It doesn't matter, man. If you just do these things, keep doing these steps, keep being a decent human, keep improving your life, when God knows the time to come down and sit with you and tap on you and basically touch your soul, then he will. If you're living, that will only happen though if you're living a good life and being and continuing to improve and being integral and whatnot. If you're not, he's not going to come find you. You're not ready, right? But
Mhm.
he'll find you, and I think some of it for most people, you went through that. I grew up in the church too. I kind of spit it all out because I saw a lot of hypocrisy. Like everybody's talking great on Sundays, putting on their Sunday best, and then I saw how they lived the other 6 days. And I was just an observant kid, and I was like this punk rock kid that's like, I don't want that. Like I don't want any of that. I saw a lot of
Right.
hypocrisy. I saw how they treated other people. So I went because my parents made me. As soon as I was 18, they didn't make me. I was an adult, so they didn't make me, and I stopped going. But I believe you can only see the beauty of the light when you've seen the darkness first. 'Cause you don't have seen the darkness. You don't know how beautiful light is unless you've seen the darkness.
Right.
So a lot of us have to be separated from that light, which God will let us. I believe because once you get to the light, he knows what's going to happen in life, right? He knows everything. So when you get to the light, you can say, dude, this is freaking rad. And you can live in such gratitude because you've lived in ungratitude and it's horrible. For me, it was demonic. Literally, I was be up for 7 days. Trust me, you see demons, man, and it's scary. It was demonic at
Oh
times.
yeah.
And so I've touched I've touched the angels, so to speak, and I've touched the devil, man. And trust me on this, you don't want that side. You don't want it
Mm,
because the
mm,
freedom of being a good human it's priceless.
right.
I had a guy um shoot me a DM. I don't even know the guy. He likes all my stuff and comments often, but he's never sent me a DM. And he sent me this DM out of nowhere. And he's like, "What would be your definition of success?" He said, "I know this is random. I'm just curious." And for me, it's very simple, man. Um, and I'm talking about not like the God part, take it out, just success. And it's just simple stuff, dude. Being able to say yes to my wife. I like to
Mhm.
buy my wife stuff. She deserves it. She's a rad human. She's an amazing mother. So I like having enough money in the bank where I don't have to worry about her buying what she wants. And two, I like a nice watch. You know that. I like a nice truck. I like Chucks, new pair of Chucks. Other than that, I'm pretty simple. But for me, it's a simple thing as Justin going into a nice restaurant. And if I'm starving, I've fasted all day and I want to get 2 porterhouse steaks, I can buy 2 damn porterhouse steaks and I don't have to worry about the damn cost. That is true liberation to me. I know that sounds probably small-minded, but, like, what else is there, dude? Like, I don't wanna
What's
go to
for
a
you? What
restaurant and
you
be like,
want?
"Dude, like, should I buy that?" Like, dude, I don't wanna live that life, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, like, having
It's
having the ability to, like, not worry about those things, that's truly what letting go does yield, though.
It does. So if you're listening to this, and I got our episode, I got to call in 10 minutes. But if you're listening to this, you guys like let go of control. You don't got this, and none of us had this. And if you're struggling, and if you're struggling in sobriety, like reach out to somebody who actually is about this life. And when I say that, like go to a meeting, open up,
If you haven't
allow
seen
yourself.
some of the stuff I've posted, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, there's a movement going out there of broken men covered in tattoos, old punk rockers that have put their lives back together and are using their platforms to do good shit. They're using their platforms to make money. Why should we not? But there's an organic pureness too of trying to bring people towards God, Christ. I truly believe it, and I love being a part of it. I believe that's my purpose.
Yep.
Um, and
I have
you
hundreds.
can live great, and you can make a lot of money, and you can have big bank accounts, and you can live, more importantly, have peace of mind and contentment. And it's very simple. Help
Yep.
other people and just honor the dude upstairs, truly. It's that simple. He'll bless you. It's literally that simple.
I have hundreds of tatted up punk rockers
Yeah, dude.
that were complete degenerates inside of JWX that are making massive moves.
Huge.
Huge movement.
Hell
So,
yeah.
guys, if you
Love it.
like this, if you like what you heard, make sure you click subscribe. We appreciate you. We will be back every single week. We missed a week. It won't happen again. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next time on the Sick Boys podcast. Adios.
Later, guys.